and gentlemen, this historic occasion has invited you, the crème de la crème of leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, representatives of ICT institutions, financial institutions, training institutions. And it is to be applauded that we are here to create awareness, developing an innovation ecosystem in Suriname. A warm welcome to you, beautiful audience. Thank you. Today is a little bit different because we have the honor to have with us this evening some young entrepreneurs and innovators. Some of them has their roots in Suriname, starting with Mr. Ryan Kopinski. As I mentioned, Ryan originally is from Suriname, started his entrepreneurial career as a student, organized and focused on making computer programming and social and interdisciplinary experience. Ryan is currently a PhD candidate in robotics at the Florida State University. Most recently, he has founded Edit Layer, a startup focused on crafting impactful products. Welcome, Ryan. We have also Miguel Rodriguez in the house. Miguel Rodriguez. Miguel is founder and manager of Apura Network, an online startup focused on crowdfunding for Suriname. Since its start, Apura Network has a total of 9 projects, and they reached more than 20,000 euro by 500 plus founders. Apura's network ambition is to become the crowdfunding platform in the Caribbean. Miguel grew up in Suriname and studied in the Netherlands, and I think 2 days ago he remigrated to Suriname. Welcome, Miguel. The next innovators and entrepreneurs I would like to introduce to you are the guys from Pi Data, Sergio and Giano. Pi Data is a marketplace in the Caribbean. It is the 21st century hub that unites innovators, incubators, and investors within the Caribbean diaspora. Their goal is to provide a platform where the Caribbean brand can be developed and showcased. Warm applause. And actually they help facilitate this event from a regional standpoint. Thank you so much. The next innovator is Brian Brackeen from Silicon Valley. Brian is founder of the company Kairos, an innovative facial recognition business, and he graduated from NUMI Accelerator. His company makes recognition and emotional analysis, which facilitate the works of developers and marketeers. And thank you. And at last but not least, she's called the Queen of Innovation, Miss Angela Benton. Miss Angela Benton is founder and CEO of NUMI Accelerator, and because of her many publications, she is considered one of the most influential people in the internet world. NUMI has helped many hundreds of entrepreneurs to start their company and retrieving investment. Angela also published the leading publication about African Americans who are interested in technology and new media. And because of the passion and the knowledge of all these innovators and entrepreneurs, they are more than willing to share with us their story, their experience. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before I invite Mr. Curry to the stage, who is doing a tremendous job and is really a driving force to create awareness in Suriname, to build and develop an innovation ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Mr. Curry to the stage.
Thank you very much, Joan, for bringing me to the stage. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and in particular, welcome to the people we invited from abroad. Joan has already mentioned all their names. Let me start with the start of all of this. It started with in Telesur, whereby we did an internal innovation competition. And that started in 2009, running up all the way to 2010. And then we evaluated that event, and we came to the conclusion that innovation is not something that we should seek only within the company. We should look outside of the company. And for that reason, we set up T-Mail presently at the University of Suriname, just on this complex. And T-Mail stands for Telesur Multimedia Innovation Laboratory. Actually, it is a center, a facilitation center where young entrepreneurs can go and help develop their business. We did that quietly for almost 4 years, because the 16th of December, we will be there for 4 years, having T-Mail present. The stage we're in right now is we want to move it a little bit more public. The reason why is because innovation is it's an aspect of networking. I did a presentation at the ICT conference in last July, and the title of that speech was The 4 I's, standing for Inspiring Innovation, Important Ingredients. And when I spoke about the 4 I's, I said it could be 4 I's, 4 persons, but there's no I in team. So you have to work together. And 4 I's could also be the I's. But we need more I's than 2 persons. So networking is very important. And when I talk about the ingredients, the important ingredients, we need different ingredients to build the ecosystem where innovation and entrepreneurship can be developed. And when I talk about the ecosystem, I can only mention some aspects of it. Funding. Can young entrepreneurs go to the bank and ask for funding? No, I don't think that's the case. Is there a good working space for young entrepreneurs where they could start their business? No. Do they have coaching from successful entrepreneurs in Suriname? I don't think so. So that's all we have to facilitate. Do they have professional support from legal firms to set up their incorporation? I don't think so. So these are just some aspects of innovation and building the ecosystem. The stage we're in right now is that we want to build and create awareness amongst the whole of Suriname. So this morning in the program, we went to different government ministers to tell them about this program and what we need from the different government ministries. Our last meeting was with the Vice President of the Republic of Suriname. This afternoon, we invited you as audience, as young entrepreneurs, as innovators, as business people, as teachers, as students, to tell you more about innovation. And it's not me it's going to tell the story. We invited people from abroad, and Joan has already mentioned who we invited from abroad to tell you their story. Tomorrow we'll also have an event. We will have 3 workshops. And those workshops will be more interactive, and those will be organized by T-Mail, mainly focused on young entrepreneurs in the area of ICTs and multimedia. So I won't say anything further. Without further ado, I'll give it back to Joan, who will introduce the first speaker to you. Thank you very much, and have an enjoyable evening.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. I would like now to invite to the stage Sergio Pengel. Well, I will say no more. Also, prepare yourself to be inspired by these young entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Joan. Please give it up for our wonderful MC for this evening, Ms. Joan. Awesome job. Wow, we have some really beautiful people in the crowd tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor of introducing some of the amazing speakers here tonight. My name is Sergio Pengel. Ja, ik ben een Surinamer. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm the founder and CEO of PyData. Now, before you hear a little bit more about PyData, Gianno Curry will have the privilege to really share with you what we have done and what actions are we taking to take Caribbean innovation to the next level. I kind of want to share with you the background of how this entire program has been developed. This event would not be possible if it wasn't for Telesur. Telesur has been driving innovation from the ground level up. As Mr. Curry related to T-Mail, T-Mail has really been the lead forefront within the Caribbean. I'll give you an example. This past August, we were in Miami, Florida, and we had a hackathon. By the way, it was the first regional hackathon. T-Mail had two of the leading innovators represent and compete on a high level against other innovators from Jamaica, from Trinidad and Tobago, from Antigua, from Belize, and they were extremely competitive. But if you think about it, and we looked at the environment, ladies and gentlemen, T-Mail is one of the leading incubators in the Caribbean. Please give it up for T-Mail. One more thing. Mr. Curry, this event, having myself, our amazing speakers, coming together under one roof to really drive and say, you know what, enough is enough, couldn't have been possible if it wasn't for this gentleman. And I think things like this, having Miguel Rodriguez take a big leap to leave Amsterdam to come back to Suriname, that is huge. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to acknowledge Mr. Curry for really driving and bringing the best of the best, the creme de la creme of innovators, Suriname innovators, together to develop and really construct an innovation ecosystem within Suriname. Mr. Curry. When it comes to T-Mail, please keep your eye on the prize. They're about to make some amazing things happen. But it's not by accident. If you haven't heard, there's a new sheriff in town. This gentleman, maybe 2 months in office, has truly spearheaded or taken action to driving innovation within Suriname. And as you see today, I have been working with this gentleman day by day, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at night, and he's been developing and making sure that everything goes as smooth, but we have the right criteria and the right steps in place to have an event like this, wait a minute, but have an action plan afterwards to take and develop an ecosystem to make and strengthen the Caribbean, the innovation within Suriname. So the gentleman I want to acknowledge is Mr. Roman Dulat. Where is he at? Please stand up, Mr. Roman. Romano? He's not, okay. Mr. Romano, he's just simply amazing. And you cannot acknowledge him without acknowledging Remy. Remy Kalu, is he here? Remy? He's also outside. Guys, I just want to make sure that you acknowledge these individuals because When we leave here, these are the individuals we're really in contact with, we're really driving, and these individuals are responsible for making sure that this event, this experience, is worthwhile. So I would definitely want to acknowledge T-Mill for the initiative and acknowledge those two gentlemen for making sure that this is a success. So please give it up for T-Mill as well. All right, now, before I introduce our speakers this evening, I kind of want to pose a question tonight. There he goes. Hey, Romano. He's working, he's working. I want to pose a question tonight, and please, don't be shy. What is innovation? Anybody? Come on, okay, let's break the ice. Come on. What's innovation? Somebody.
Doing something more than really has been going on.
And your name, sir?
Kisun Misir Sun.
Mr. Kushun, excellent answer. Anybody else? Anybody else? You know, I'm gonna pick on somebody. Don't let me pick on you. I'm coming. Oh, there you go. Remy, Mr. Remy, Kalu. He's working. Yes, ma'am. Your name and then the answer.
Okay, Ivana Betterson. Innovation means making new products and giving better meaning to products also.
Excellent. Please give it up for her for the wonderful answer. See, innovation is like a sexy word, right? It's like everybody uses it. But what is really innovation? Right? You really wonder, what is innovation? How do you develop innovation? Whatever you know about innovation, tonight, I ask for a favor. Write it down. Crumble it up and put it in your pocket. Because what you're about to experience tonight from our speakers will be innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship on a whole new level right here in Suriname. So I'll post a question, or I'll post a favor. I'm gonna ask you guys to really think about and participate what innovation means. I played college football in Atlanta, Georgia, and as I was telling them earlier, before you go out in the game, you kind of prepare yourself, right? So for tonight, everything you know or think you know about technology or innovation, scratch it. And repeat after me. You ready? You ready? Yes. Ah, come on, you sleep. I know it's late at night. Come on. Huh? You ready? Yes. All right. If I want it? Ah, come on. I know we're in Suriname, but it's hot, but come on. Loud and clear, on the top of your bottom. If I want it, I have to learn it. When I learn it, I will earn it. Because it's possible. Because it's possible. Now, I know we have some American friends in town today, so let's teach them a little Dutch. You know, let's break them in a little bit, all right? For my Hollanders, this is good for you, all right? You ready? Als ik het wil hebben, moet ik het leren. Wanneer ik het leer, zal ik het verdienen. Omdat is mogelijk. Omdat is mogelijk. Tonight, whatever you know or think you know about innovation, just remember, it's mogelijk. It's possible. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me with great pleasure to introduce our COO and co-founder of Pi Data. This gentleman is also a Surinamer. But let me tell you something interesting about him. He's very charismatic, but he's a genius. And I say that wholeheartedly because I had the pleasure of working and developing a company, not just a company, with this gentleman from the ground up. Every step of the way, I was able to depend on him, delivering and exceeding the delivery on a national level. He has coached several other entrepreneurs. He is a branding genius. He just recently graduated from FIU with a marketing degree, and now is taking his master's study within global studies. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me introduce my friend, my business partner, Mr. Giano Curry.
Thank you, Serge. Goedenavond. Mijn naam is Giano Curry. Thank you, Sergio. That means a lot to me. Sergio and another one of our co-founders, they called me one day. I wasn't on board yet. And I'm going to keep this short. And they told me, we want to do something meaningful for the Caribbean. And I was sold. Because Suriname is not only my home, but we live in a greater region, which is the Caribbean. Suriname is a small population, but we're doing big things in the rest of the world. Miguel Rodriguez is going to talk about that in a little bit. We have Surinamese people living all across the world. But coming back to our region, what Pi Data wants to do and what I'm going to dig deeper into is our region and what we can do and where we can bring our region. So first of all, there are three words Pi Data goes by. Think Caribbean innovation. Now, I want you to look to the person on your left, look to the person on your right. Just look at the room. Our live audience that is viewing right now in the Caribbean, please look at this room. What do we see? We see possibilities. We see a great future. We see hungry students that want to make a difference. We see great coaches and mentors in this room that want to breed a new generation of not only Surinamese leaders of tomorrow, but also leaders of possibly the world, and that can found great companies. And that's basically what Pi Data does. So Pi Data goes by three pillars. It's very simple, and whenever we're in a crunch or we don't know what to do, we always fall back on these three pillars that keep us up. The first one is inspiration, inspire. And we've proved this by January coming to Suriname and hosting, together with the Canto, our first ever youth forum that we called, ironically, the Caribbean Startup. Because it's time to start that motor and to get inspired about what is possible. At this conference, we had great speakers that we brought in to inspire individuals, because before you do anything, you need to first be inspired to have a great idea. Inspiration can happen in your classroom, while reading a book, or while having a parbo beer with your friends. They can come at any time. Usually in the shower too. The shower helps too to get great ideas. The second thing is education. Pi Data is very passionate about grassroots. And for that reason, it's great that we're starting something here at the university, at Anton de Kom University, because that's where it starts. That's the beginning and the start of great careers. And what are we doing in regards to education? We have started an online web series called U for 2020. U for 2020 stands for Youth Organized University, because it's time that we as the next generation take charge in what's coming next. A lot of times you hear what you're taught in school, by the time you graduate, that's irrelevant. We have a lot of new jobs lining up. One of them is coding. And that's very important for the future, not only of Suriname, but of the Caribbean and the rest of the world. We need to keep up. And for this reason, we have U for 2020. And simply what U for 2020 is, champions. We take a Caribbean champion, somebody that has had success in what they do, in their trade, that wants to give back. The great teachers are Pi Data champions. Entrepreneurs that have done something and want to give back, that want to make their lives meaningful and give back to their community, those are Pi Data champions, and which we call Pi Data champions. So what we've done, we've gone to 2 innovators, and we've also gone to Trinidad and Tobago, and we've met with 3 Pi Data champions, and on a casual way, because school is not what it used to be. It's different. It needs to be vibrant. It needs to stimulate an environment that is going to want you to get great ideas and to really do something. So we simply, in a casual way, we just have a casual interview with these Pi Data champions. And based on their experience, because everything we know, somebody has taught us at one point. We've read a book or a teacher, or we didn't just wake up one day and we knew that. So we think that that's very important. And by live streaming all our events, especially you for 2020, people all across the Caribbean can sign in and ask live questions to the viewers. Our first one was Ryan Kopinski in Tallahassee in an incubator where he works. The second one was here at T-Mill with Phil Tefreda, who is a great Pi Data champion too and has brought T-Mill to a higher level. We've gone to Trinidad and Tobago, where one of our team members interviewed a champion there as well too. And we have relevant topics that teach people how to grow their ideas, how to manage a great team. Because Pi Data wouldn't be where it is right now if we didn't have a great team. Me and Sergio are here today, but we have 4 other individuals across the Caribbean, in Trinidad, in Amsterdam, in Suriname, we have one too, and Belize. And the last thing I want to talk about is sustainability. Because we're not just going to do something today and it go away tomorrow. So what have we done in the front for sustainability? We have launched a great ambassador program, a youth ambassador program. Pi Data youth ambassadors all across the Caribbean, 2 of which are here today. Could you guys stand up, please? These are Surinamese youth ambassadors. And I'm happy to announce the reason why we want to stimulate this is because going across the Caribbean, we can't go to every single country and find the best innovators. We're trying to create a universal Caribbean hub to find the best talent, like we're doing here in Suriname. I'm sure we'll have a great networking time after our session, meeting great new people. We want to meet you. We want to discover you. We want to expose great people with great ideas. And we want to get you to that level where you can execute your ideas, because that's eventually what it's about. I'm happy to announce that our ambassador program is also going to start its online blog, because we want everyone in the Caribbean to know what's happening in Suriname, to know what's happening in Belize, to know what's happening in Jamaica on the front of innovation. We need to know what's going on. And that, my friends, is Thinking Caribbean Innovation. Thank you.
Awesome job, Gianno. Please give it up for Gianno again. Now, our next speaker is a genius. I mean, he's a real-life genius. He is a PhD candidate in robotics. But I want to say something interesting that I think is really relevant to today's message. When I first met Ryan Kopinski, he had the cool Google glasses on. You know, you could see the 21st century app. He just recently developed an app which was, I'm sure he'll explain, which was one of the most innovative solutions that you could see within a Google Glass. In fact, he was accepted, his app was accepted, one of 52 apps within the entire platform by Google. And guess what? It failed. He failed. What should he do? He decided, said, okay, entrepreneurs, what do we do? Ah, come on, let me hear that again.
We fall down and we stand back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur tonight, if you want to start your own business, one of the hardest things to do is to be an entrepreneur. It's tough. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. Sometimes systems don't work right when you have it set up and tested it 20 times, right? But you know what? You persevere. And one of the things that T-Mail is so passionate about is that they want to create an environment where entrepreneurs understand that you're going to fail. It's bound to happen. But, there's a but, say but. If you persevere and keep pushing, you fall down, you keep pushing. One day you'll look up, you'll have another app, it'll be called Added Layer, and then you have another cool app that I'm gonna let him tell you about. But you know what? You will be one of the leading innovators within the Caribbean, and I'm proud to call him a Surinamese. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me introduce and welcome my friend, an entrepreneur, an innovator, and a PhD candidate in robotics. I gotta say that one more time. Mr. Ryan Kopinski.
Okay, so my name is Ryan Kopinski, and I'm really excited to be here. It's good to be back in Suriname. It's only for 3 days, but it's always great to be back. Thank you for the introduction, Sergio. I'm just going to give a short background. I moved to the US around 8 years ago. I started my engineering degree in electrical engineering at Florida A&M, go Rattlers, and now I'm a PhD candidate in robotics at Florida State University, also in Tallahassee. That has been great. But there was a switch in my life where I became aware of my purpose, why am I on this earth, right? And that was at an internship at IHMC, which is a robotics institute. And what I was doing there is I was working on an exoskeleton, pretty much similar like Iron Man, a suit, a robotic suit that could help people walk. So there was this handicapped lady that was paralyzed from here down, and she could walk on her own. And I created that algorithm for her to walk. From then on, I knew anything that I do should not be mediocre. Anything that I do should be impactful. And that's really what this presentation is about. I'm going to keep it real, because it's a struggle. That did not come easy. That was 16 hours nonstop coding, and it didn't work. After 3 months, it did. So the title is Suriname 2.0. And anyone in tech knows what 2.0 is. It means it's the real version. You're not beta. It's what it should have been. And it's the new economy, by the way. So what is a startup? We use this word so much, but we rarely understand really what it means. And in my personal opinion, I believe a startup is only a phase. It's like being a teenager. It's a phase, and your parents hate it, but it is. And I believe it's a phase where you're in search for some valuable product that has potential for high growth and high impact. This is a transitionary phase. What is it like to be an entrepreneur? What is it like to be a coder? What is it like to be a startup founder? And I say it's 30, 80, 400. You work 30 hours a day, 8 days a week, and 400 days in a year. You never sleep, okay? My eyes are red because of that. This was one of the brainstorming sessions that I had for my first app called ShopX, which, yes, it failed because Google Glass ended the sale of their device. And I worked 18 months on it, and it failed because they said, okay, we're done. We're working on the next one. We're stopping the sale. So that's really what startup life is all about. So why are we crazy enough? Why is Angela here? Why is Brian here? Why are Sergio and Giano here? Why are we so crazy to work countless hours, forgo sleep, don't eat, not really fit? Why are we doing this? And I think we're so crazy that we believe that if we do all of this, we can create some company that is so valuable that can either be acquired by the big leagues such as Google, Facebook, whatever, or we can go public ourselves. Now, a great example of such a company is WhatsApp. They were very lean. They had only a few engineers, and it was the chat app that really made it. Facebook acquired them for $19 billion. $19 billion. Suriname doesn't even make that much money in a year. And these guys have 50 engineers. 50 people are responsible for 19 billion. And that's why I believe it's the new economy, but it's not easy. Now that's a wake-up call. Look at Suriname. That's not a good statistic for us. Not at all, because this is recent. We are the least entrepreneurial in the emerging market. The least. And even if this data is inaccurate, even if this data is crap, it should be a wake-up call. Because we're not 10%. We're not 1%. We're 0.2% of the adults are entrepreneurs. I don't really believe that, though, because we have a lot of successful entrepreneurs. I think it's a perception issue. Our successful entrepreneurs aren't marketed and branded to the world. So with marketing, we failed. But even with the young entrepreneurs, how many of you are entrepreneurs? Raise your hand, please. Okay, why is that percentage so low then? We should do something about that. That is not right. Why is tech entrepreneurship so important? Suriname right now is in some financial troubles because our economy is mostly based on natural resources, gas, gold. And because the world is doing so well right now, we're not buying gold. Gas is so cheap that I can buy V-Power, go on a road trip because I don't care. It's so cheap. Staatsolie is suffering because of that. What can we do, right? There's always a solution. As entrepreneurs, we always found a solution. And I believe that there's a system that is really coined by Brad Feld in startup communities. And he's out of Boulder, Colorado, which I have a lot of respect for because it's a very small city, but it's doing really well. And he says an ecosystem is based on leaders and feeders. The entrepreneurs are the leaders. End of sentence. That's it. The entrepreneurs are the people who create the products and the companies. You can have 10 tea mills. You will not have the products without the entrepreneurs. Now we have to understand something really important. You got to have the feeders. If tea mill wasn't here, none of us would be here. They are the front runner in facilitating this ecosystem. But we have to all assume our responsibilities. A very important feeder is the government. And I was fortunate enough to meet with the Minister of Education, with the Minister of Industry and Trade, and with the Vice President of the Republic of Suriname. And I think those conversations were eye-opening. Government is usually slow, and the policies don't keep up with technology. But what government can do is make it really easy to be a startup founder in Suriname. San Francisco Business Portal has such a great site to create a company. If you go on their site, the link is right there. They make it look easy. It's really hard to actually run a company, but they make it look so easy. It's so approachable. That is what Suriname needs. If Suriname wants to be the best country for entrepreneurship and tech startups, you need to make it accessible. It needs to be a priority for the government. Now, there's many other stakeholders here, other feeders. I'm talking about the investors, the wealthy people, the companies that have some extra money because of profits that are doing well. I hate to say it, but you're going to have to create a fund that is I don't care about losing this money fund. And that's the title of it. Because startups are risky. It's a very uncertain game. But if you win big. So it's a gamble, but you have to acknowledge the risk that comes with that gamble. I think all of us flew pretty much the whole day on Tuesday to come here. Not because we expected something from you, but because we give first. Entrepreneurship and a sustainable ecosystem is not about asking what you can get. It's saying what you can give first. If you are greedy, if you are misleading, you will never create a sustainable ecosystem. David Cohen, I was fortunate enough to meet him last week at Florida State. They flew him over, and we had a fireside chat. And this guy is so laid back. He came with a t-shirt and dumped knowledge on us. And I was so fortunate. Like, I was sitting on the tip of my chair because it was David Cohen. And for people that don't know him, Techstars is one of the leading accelerators in the world. And he knew about NewMe. He knew Angela because she's doing amazing things. Why didn't he know about us? Right? It's at 0.2%. We need to do something about it. And I hate to just talk, and not, do, right? Entrepreneurship is about doing, having action. And what I believe is that instead of telling you what you should do, I'm going to show you. And if I fail, it'll be public. So what I'm doing right now is my next app called Gimtori. And Gimtori is a new way to chat. You can share messages, secrets, and stories using up to 3 emojis. It's a visual app. For those that don't know what emojis are, those are those funny characters. And everyone knows them. Those bowling, you can be in China and you know what that means. It's a universal language, but it still has some issues with grammar. There's no rules. So while this may seem like a funny app, I am trying to create the next universal language, which is based on emojis. And I'm going to do it publicly. Starting today, I will share everything that happens with the products as I fight to bring it to product market fit. You will see me fail, you will see me struggle, and if I succeed, whoop-de-doo, fun. Now the takeaways, and this is more for the leaders, the entrepreneurs. The number one takeaway is that startups are no joke. If you watch the Silicon Valley series on HBO, it's hilarious, right? They make it seem like raising money is fun, like it's all great. It's a hustle. It's sweating, it's hard work, it's not being healthy, it's really, really rough, but it's a huge payout. Second, give first. That's really key in the ecosystem. And third, I think that internship at IHMC was really eye-opening. When you figure out what your purpose is, when you know that you're working on something that you love, I can code for 16 hours, and I won't be tired. My eyes will be red, I have a headache, but I want to keep going because I absolutely love what I do. Find your passion and kill it. Thank you.
Knowing what to do is very different than doing what you know. Mr. Kopinski is the epitome of that. Please give it up for that wonderful presentation. Can we just go home now? Is that good stuff? Some good stuff? Do you want more? Yeah. Do you want more? Come on, I need some more. I need some more. I need some more. One more time. Do you want some more? Yes. Do you want some more? Yes. All right. Our next speaker is also a Suriname Mang. I love this guy. I call him the smooth operator. He's just so cool. He's the perfect example of a duck. Sailing, gliding, but underneath the water, he's pedaling 100 miles per hour. He's been working extremely hard for the past 10 years, 5 recent, by building something not just for himself, but for us as a community, a crowdfunding platform. This is huge. So ladies and gentlemen, as you hear this information tonight, please remember, this is for you. This is the new wave of innovation. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Miguel Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, Sergio, for those kind words. Yes, I'm indeed pedaling like a duck, going really fast. I first want to express my appreciation to Telesur and also PyData for being here. I indeed remigrated back to Suriname, and it feels just great to be back home. Yes. I just want to talk, we're really going to keep it short. I want to talk about 3 topics. I'm the CEO and the CEO and founder of Apura Networks. And Apura Networks is a crowdfunding platform and a networking, with a networking focus as well. And just want to elaborate on that with via these slides. And my topics are going to be about funding in Suriname over the past 10 years. So what was that about? Crowdfunding and crowdfunding for Suriname in particular. And my third topic will be, it's a bit blurry, the crowdfunding challenges. Do you all recognize this picture? Yes, all right. So anybody here knows what crowdfunding is? Please raise your hand. Okay, that's great, so I don't need to explain that. Is the sound working, by the way? Because I don't hear the sound button. Somebody? Okay, anybody? Can somebody help me with the sound? Oh yeah, that's an option. Oh yes, okay. Well, I can be very short on this slide because I've been busy with Apura last 10 years, since 2003, and I've been seeking funding, and it's not easy for a startup. Just this picture, I took it from the PyData site. I think you guys recognize it. And if you have this average guy, I just call him Sergio Pengel, and another version. And he has this great idea that he wants to fund his company. He has a good educational background, a great idea, a great team, but where does he get his funding? And in Suriname, we don't have no seed funding for startups. That's just, who agrees with me on that one? Okay, so I don't need to elaborate on that. So if you go to a bank, like any commercial bank in Suriname, and you want to take a personal loan, you get rates of 12% and you need 110% collateral. Is anybody working from a bank here? Okay, so you agree on that? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. It's even more than 110% collateral. All right. And, but this doesn't mean that there are no startups and new companies in Suriname. On the contrary, if you see luxurious products, new Chinese shops, and so on, every year when I came back to Suriname, you see bigger Chinese shops and so on. But these are all private networks, private funding, and no public funding. So this is all closed money. The next slide, I want to talk about, okay, crowdfunding. This might be an alternative. I'm not saying it can be the alternative for Suriname, but it is a very serious alternative, and it's changing the world. Crowdfunding is a global disruptive force. And I want to explain the concept of crowdfunding via this campaign I've been following last year. And I was so amazed by it, I just funded it and I got the project. Who in the room here loves candles? Oh, nobody? Okay, all right. So that's a few people. Burn a lot of candles in Suriname. Okay, so this is the play bulb. And the play bulb is a candle-like, but it's a LED. And they needed $5,000, and they actually got 266 within a month. So it's amazing, and they just needed a seed funding of $5K. So look how cool it is. You can download the app for free, and you can make all kinds of colors. And it's called the play bulb, yes, which I said. So you can make like a whole party at your home. So imagine one of you here just created this idea or this startup, and you guys just needed $5,000 and you got 266. Wouldn't you be glad with that? Okay, so that's crowdfunding, the power of the crowd, because I think something like 500 backers just pledged and gave, it's for $12 each. and when it's getting sold, it's like $30. So it's much cheaper in the pre-sale. Crowdfunding is actually a kind of pre-sale. So I'm going to skip to this next slide. Do you understand this concept of crowdfunding? Okay, great. Okay, now about the numbers. This is serious money. Crowdfunding is changing the world. The average entrepreneur today in the US by far, and in Europe as well, is actually not going to banks anymore. They're doing a crowdfunding for their startup. In 2013, 6.1 billion was crowdfunded. The year after, it almost more than doubled, reaching 16.2 billion. This year, it's actually reaching more than $34 billion. So the 19 billion that Ryan was talking about, this is even more. So I think crowdfunding is getting bigger and bigger. So what are we doing about it for Suriname? So we said, okay, and that's where we came in. Apura Networks actually started as a networking company because I was really a networker. And I thought, man, it's cool because there are Surinamese people all over the world. Like, of course, a hub in the Netherlands, but you got Surinamese people in China, in America, of course. Now I'm actually Skyping a lot with this guy, Giorgio Moses from Shanghai, a Surinamese guy, grew up in Albina, doing really well over there. So I created Apura Networks to actually network all the Surinamese people all over the world. And also friends of Suriname, because that's also important. So the last 2 years, we actually used that basis to start crowdfunding for Suriname. And I'm really proud to say that we really made it happen. We have now 10 projects in 2000. Now we have 9, one is coming up. We almost crowdfunded something like 22,000 euros, which is quite a lot, by 500 backers. We have 2,700 members in 44 countries. So we can actually honestly say that in 2015, when we launched in Q1, we made crowdfunding happen for Suriname. And what Ryan said, it was really hard work. You know, it almost didn't happen. The legislation, the technology behind it, the platform, you know, the whole online payment possibilities. It was hell, but we made it through and we made it happen. We also got help from Taylor Swift on the funding part. Should not forget that. Okay, so what are our ambitions? I think we can honestly say that we really want to grow aggressively, and we want to grow horizontally and vertically. What does that mean? So on the vertical part, we first started with donation-based crowdfunding. So those were more social projects, like educational projects, non-profit projects where people just donated, like Red Cross and so on. Then we started with a reward-based project. I'm going to show you on that. That's also going well. Where we want to grow to is crowd lending. That's actually a commercial crowdfunding where people just pledge amount and get a percentage of interest back. Because if you put your savings on a bank account in most countries in the world, especially the Netherlands and here, you just get a 0.5% interest. Or sometimes you even have to pay. So that's the third pillar. The fourth, that's the most sophisticated part of crowdfunding, is equity-based crowdfunding. So you're actually buying stock in a company. So this is the vertical expansion that we want. We just did the first two, and for this one we really need help from bigger players. On the horizontal expansion, of course we first have to tackle Suriname. We're busy with that now. We just started 1 year. But the second countries we want to roll out to is the Dutch Antilles, so the SSS and ABC landen, Saba, Sint Eustatius, Sint Maarten, and Aruba, Curaçao. And then we want to move to Trinidad, because that's a bigger player, bigger market. If you have any questions so far, just shoot. You know. So this is our last crowdfunding campaign. It's actually a creative project from a Surinamese photographer, Raoul Nijhorst, and he's going to make a book It's really amazing with 75 special Surinamese people, and they're all going to share a secret in his book. So he needs 7,500 euro. He's now, I think this is yesterday, he's now at this amount. So he has, I think, something like 11 days to go, and he's going to make it, I think. So I'm just going to share his video with you so that you can have an impression on what you need for a crowdfunding.
We zijn één bijzonder volk en iedereen mag het weten. Ik ben Raoul Nijmers, een Surinaamse professionele fotograaf. En ik wil heel graag de wereld laten zien dat wij in Suriname mooie en bijzondere mensen hebben. En dat wil ik doen door middel van een boek. Nee, niet zomaar een boek. Een boek met 75 bijzondere en bekende Surinamers die hun sporen verdiend hebben. Jammer. Jammer.
Wow, project zoals dit. Kleine ideeën van iemand die iets neerzet en zegt, hé, ik ga dit doen en dit is een goede boodschap.
En niet alleen in Suriname, maar ook in Nederland, Amerika, Engeland en ga zo maar door.
Ook tantes die dat, Kala, Moshi, Mosa, alles.
So this is just to give you an expression on what crowdfunding is about. It's, you know, displaying your idea, getting the emotion, and then people start funding. It has also everything to do with trust.
Om het boek te kunnen maken, heb ik jouw hulp nodig. Hoe je kan helpen? Door het boek alvast te kopen. En ik kan
This is Jurgen Rijman.
zien dat wij als Surinamers echt trots op elkaar mogen zijn. Want we zijn één volk, één natie, one people.
We go to the next slide. So, thank you, thank you. Raul is really gonna make it. So, talking about the challenges, then I'm gonna close off. What we're seeing now that crowdfunding for Suriname is really going, but we have some hurdles, and we need all the support we can get. The first one is that in Suriname, people cannot actually participate in the crowdfunding process because you cannot pay online using you know, some online payment method. So the first thing we want to do with Telesur is enable mobile payment for crowdfunding in Suriname. And I'm happy to say that we have this ambition to make this happen this year. So let's just keep it at that. The second thing is that we need to reach our diaspora because now with the network members, I think it's still a few, and we really need to reach all of our community members worldwide. We have a Unite for Sue campaign in place, and we actually want to aggressively take this and set up a global marketing campaign. And the third is intellectual property protection. Today we had visits with the government, and I think they really can help us with intellectual property because if you're going to crowdfund something or do something, you need your intellectual property protected. Just to close off, my 3 takeaways for young entrepreneurs. Who are, I think Ryan already asked, I just want to raise your hands if you're a young entrepreneur or young or just entrepreneur. Okay, so these are my takeaways. I think they're complementary to Ryan, but this is very personal and important for me. The first is get obsessive. You know, I'm obsessed with Apura. I'm sorry to say, but it's just the truth. I love my girlfriend, but Apura is really close. You know, sometimes I'm shaking. You know, if I cannot do stuff. And I think entrepreneurs should be like this. And obsession is a good thing. You know, remember where you were a child and you were obsessive about something. You know, get that back because that's what you need. And just execute because obsession is just, you know, bad if you just don't execute. The second thing is get the right people on the bus. So in other words, get the right team. If you have people on the bus that are wrong, get those people off the bus and the right people on the bus. The third is, and this is the most important thing, because you're gonna make those hours, you're not gonna sleep. As you see me here, I'm dead tired, but I'm having fun. I love it, what I'm doing. So have fun and never stop playing, because that's innovation for me. Don't be afraid to fail. Just keep on playing, keep on busy with it, and have fun. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for that wonderful presentation. Mr. Miguel Rodriguez, Apura Networks. If you want it, I'm gonna get this right tonight. If you want it, if you want it, no, just repeat after me. If you want it, you have to learn it. When you learn it, you will earn it. Because it's possible. So when I say because is, you guys say possible. Let's try one more time. If you want it, you have to learn it. If you learn it, you will earn it. Because is? Because is? He who says he can't and he who says he can are usually both right. Our next speaker is the epitome of I can. When I read this story, I almost cried. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is a true bona fide entrepreneur. But he didn't start off as an entrepreneur. He was one of the senior executives at Apple, one of the senior executives at IBM, ADP. This gentleman, you could see him with a book bag, walking from investor to investor, with simple idea of saying that one day we will have technology so sophisticated that people anywhere in the world will be able to see or recognize faces in the crowd. Would you invest in that? Yeah. Would you invest in that? Yeah. Because it's? Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman is a product of our keynote speaker tonight, New Me. Hey, Rajiv, welcome. And he is definitely an entrepreneur's friend because he's one of my mentors. He's one individual that really helps other entrepreneurs develop and understand the ecosystem that helps promote innovation. He's an entrepreneur, he's an innovator, and he's an inventor. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me a great privilege to introduce Mr. Brian Burkeen.
Man, I tell you, he sets you up so high and you got to live up to that expectation. It's not easy. I think it'd probably be best if we start with a video to understand kind of what we do, and then we'll kind of back into all the details of how we got there. Can I get that video up? So while they're pulling it up, what we do is we're a facial recognition company. And so some of the things we can do with that is find one person in a million in about 800 milliseconds. And so what that means is it changes the way we do business. If you're a hospital, a doctor can walk up to a person who's unconscious, maybe schizophrenic, maybe can't give their name, just hold up the iPad, and their medical record will come up just from their face, right? When we go into a bank or we go into a retail establishment, they can actually help you and serve you without having to exactly know exactly who you are. It just pulls up your record. So it really changes the way that we do business. I hear it. Cool. Almost. That's not mine, but it looks nice. Cool. Here we go. So what you're seeing here is our technology. So we're finding these different points in the face every 250 milliseconds, so extremely quickly. And you see, as you move your eyes and your nose, we know exactly where those are. We can also tell your emotions as well. So not just who you are, but everything else about you. So the second that your emotions change, we're able to see those changes in the emotions. We can do this in a light room like this, but we can also do it in a low light situation. So it doesn't have to be perfect lighting. We can actually even be in an almost completely dark room, very low light, and we can still identify the face and still find the contours in your face, understand your emotions and whatnot. You can cover your mouth or eyes, we still know where that is. This is basically a study of what we call computational anatomy. We know where one eye is, we know the other eye is, we know where your nose is. You can even wear sunglasses, we still know where your eyes are. Another thing we do is pose. Again, the cameras can be up in the ceiling, we can still identify you from different angles. And we also do something called, you'll see next, micro expressions. So these are extremely fast. Because we're looking very, very quickly, the second you feel a difference in that emotion, we can pick that up. So to round out the rest of this kind of interesting story, we're a startup that started in Silicon Valley, moved the company to Miami later. We've raised $6 million in venture capital. We have over 100 investors. Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. And it's been a heck of a ride. But the real story, and again, the same story you're going to hear over and over tonight is, it wasn't as easy as this. It didn't start with this. It didn't start with $6 million in our pocket. In fact, if I were to do my own introduction, and not the Sergio one, it would be, hello, my name is Brian Brackeen, and I'm a failure. I've absolutely failed time and time and time again in my life. So now let's go a little further back. Even back to childhood. We've got a gentleman here, PhD candidate. I'm sure you've always got pretty decent grades. That wasn't my situation, my friend. I got mostly D's and F's my entire school career, all the way through. We have something in the States called social promotion, where they promote you from grade to grade just to kind of keep you like, come on, you can do it. That was me. Social promotion. And my father and my father and mother are the most patient people in the world. And luckily for me, my dad brought home a computer at around age 11 or 12, and the light went off. I was like, I don't know what this thing is, but I like it. This is a time before Windows. I'm 37, so it's a little older, where we had to actually put in like DOS commands just to get a game to work, right? And so I was really basically coding at a very, very, very early age just to kind of play my games. And I realized this is kind of what I wanted to do, though the grades didn't get much better until about 10th or 11th grade. So I finally got I was able to get myself into Penn State, and I was there for about 3 months, and I was like, you know what? This ain't for me. And so I went back to these patient parents of mine again and said, Mom and Dad, I'm going to go into business. I'm going to go into industry. I'm going to drop out. And they're like, oh, like, what are you talking about? So I drop out of school. So I'm the proud recipient of a 3-month education for Penn State. Still root for them in football. And I took a job at Comcast and IBM, and I kept working hard, and I kept really making myself what we call a purple squirrel, right? Which is be so unique, take on the hardest task and the hardest jobs, so they can't get rid of you. Like, oh, Brian does that one thing that nobody wants to do. So we got to keep that guy, and I just kept getting, promotion after promotion, working on bigger and bigger projects, working more and more internationally. And I was at IBM about 7 years when I got a call from Apple saying, hey, Brian, you've got all this international experience. You're doing some interesting work at IBM. And, we have a few retail stores now. At the time, they had maybe 40 or so, mostly U.S., a couple Canada, maybe one in Paris. Or, we would love to see if you could come out here and help us open more locations, more corporate locations. We're growing really quickly. This is in the post-iPhone, but pre and all the way through iPad time. So Steve Jobs was still there. We were growing 800% a year. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And so I was living in Miami at the time, packed all my things into 3 boxes and moved myself out to San Francisco for the next 2 years. Yes, I only had 3 boxes worth of stuff. And this was, and again, just an absolutely amazing time. But it was while I was there that I caught the startup bug. And I realized, I love Apple. I still love Apple. I think it's an amazing company, but I have my own dreams, my own aspirations. I want to change the world too. And people that I knew were starting amazing things like Pinterest and Instagram, right? And I was saying to myself, I mean, they're smart, but I mean, I'm just as smart. Why can't I start that? Why can't I make billions of dollars? And so I was lucky enough to come across New Me Accelerator. I mean, lucky is not, I've kind of stalked it, really what I should say. and I knew if I could just somehow get in, I knew that it would really change. So really, when we get to our next speaker, she is really the kind of the mother of everything that we've done. She's a personal mentor, a personal friend. She means the world to me, and she is the reason that Kairos and all of its success even exists. So thank you, Angela, for everything you've done for me. So Angela let us in, even though, no experience in anything, startup. And our first product was actually a time clock. It wasn't even what you see here today, right? It was just allowing people to check in and check out just with their mobile device. And from there, we realized people were cheating the system. They actually were off-site, and they would say to people, hey, you know what? Just plug in my number because I'm running late. And they were, getting paid for it without being there. And the customer was like, hey, this is great and all, it works, but it's beautifully designed, but people are cheating. How do you stop? And we were like, facial recognition? Like, we had no idea what facial recognition was, how it worked. But we spent the next year going all the way down to the bare metal, reading all the university research and understanding facial recognition inside and out. And what we realized was making facial recognition easy was actually really, really hard. Making it work in an application was hard. Making it work as developers was hard. Making it work in a company or corporate setting was very hard. And so we pivoted the entire company into just doing the facial recognition part. Now keep in mind, we had already taken some investor money at this point, right? So then I have to go to people whose hard-earned cash is already invested in Kairos and say, you know what? You know that idea you invested in that you like so much? I'm not doing that anymore. We got this new idea. We're going to start fresh. And again, people were very patient with me and allowed me to continue to do this and continue to grow the company. And since we moved to this facial recognition side, the growth has been absolutely insane. We have about 7,000 customers now in 40 countries. And again, the story's sounding really, really good. And yet, I'm going to go back to being a failure. Because along the way, we grew too fast. We hired too many employees. We got to about $140,000 a month in burn rate, or spending. And simply couldn't sustain that. And so even though I was bringing investment money in, wasn't bringing it in fast enough. And so I got to a particular Friday, which I will never forget, and I had to go to the staff and say, hey guys, you're going to get paid this Friday, but you're not going to get paid next Friday, and I don't know when the next time is that you're going to get paid. And this is ultimately all my responsibility. It was my job to raise the money. It was my job to make sure you get paid. It was my job to make sure your bills and your families are taken care of. And I failed. And again, I was a failure here. And so anyone that has to go, anyone that has to take a job at a much safer place because they have bills to pay, I won't take it personally. I will write you the most glowing letter ever. We'll be friends forever. But for those who stay, I promise you, we're doing something big here and we're going to change the world. I just need a little more time. Talk to a few more investors and see if we can convince them to stand behind us. And so I went home that weekend, really somber weekend. I came in that next Monday, and not a single person left. Not a single person. And I've told this story 1,000 times, and I still get broken up about it, because another lesson about startup is that it's all about the people. I owe everything that I am, everything that I will ever be, to other people, to our employees, to people like Angela, to our investors. They have allowed us the opportunity to change the world. And so kind of being good and being a good person and continuing to persevere isn't just really for you, but it's really in tribute to all of them, really, and all of their sacrifices. So of all the investors we have, again, of the over 100 investors or so, and those are some funds, some angel groups, you name it, I have pitched the company about 900 times to investors and got 100 yeses. So keep that in mind. It's 800 no's that I've gotten, which is probably one of my last kind of points here, which is people are going to tell you no. People are going to tell you that you're crazy. People are going to tell you that's not a good idea. People are going to say, oh, why do that when they have this? Why do that when they have this? They don't know what they're talking about. If you believe in your heart, if you're passionate, if you wake up every day and you have the shakes, right? And you just know this idea is it. This is what I should be doing with my life. No one can deny you. And so with that, I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Come on, don't be shy.
Sorry to call you out.
Mr. Apura.
So it's Brian. Oh no.
Okay.
Brian, I'm just curious. Wonderful presentation. I'm just curious about how was the first beta version of the facial recognition? Because it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really sophisticated.
Yeah.
But what was the first version? How
Crappy,
did it work?
crappy, terrible. I mean, the first version probably worked 40% of the time, And I remember showing it to our first investor and just praying, like, please God, let this be one of the 40%. Please let it work. And it did. And then he said, show it to me again. I'm like, I don't know. Let's not go too far here. You get the idea. What I did, it actually worked again, and we were able to get our first investor that way, and that led to the first 5 or 6. So, yeah.
Anybody else? He's not shy.
Ask me anything. Nothing's out of the question. Ask me any question.
So working at Apple, what did that give you to succeed or to fail as a startup founder?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. I mean, I was there when Steve was there, and so there was no room for imperfect, really. I mean, we're really design focused, and we made mistakes were like, just couldn't happen. So you would just really, really look at your work, double, triple check. So I learned a lot about that. A lot of just also kind of unrelated things that are just kind of interesting. I've learned a lot about leadership, what to do and what not to do. I'll tell you guys a great Steve Jobs story. So my second day at work, I worked in a building just south of headquarters, maybe a block or so. But for my second day at work, I had to go to headquarters for some meetings, and my boss said, listen, Brian, I know it's only your second day. Usually we wouldn't do this, but we have to go to this meeting. You might see Steve when you're there. And if you do, if you see him, just walk the other way. Just go the other direction. If he gets into the elevator that you're in, just get out on that floor. Just do not, because what will happen is, and this is a true story that happened to me later, Steve always says the same things to a new face. He says, hello, my name is Steve. I'm the chief executive here. What's your name and what do you do for Apple? And if he didn't think that your answer was intelligent enough or impressive enough, he would go, oh, thank you, Bob. And he would go upstairs to his secretary and say, hey, Bob Johnson from accounting, he's out, gone, fired. True story. and so my boss didn't want to subject me to that. But I later in life have still memorized my saying. My name is Brian Brackeen, Steve. I work in your systems department. I'm in charge of all the systems across the world. And that was the safe answer.
Brian, you got an invitation to come to Suriname.
Yes.
What made you accept the invitation?
Other than Sergio's persistence, no, I jump at the chance. I jumped at the chance. It really wasn't too tough. I hope not too tough of a conversation. A couple things. One, I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I've lived in Miami for a number of years now, and I really, it feels like home. And I would say, for those that have been there, as Miamians, we actually feel like we're a part of the Caribbean family. Everyone from Miami is really from the Caribbean and Latin America. I mean, no one's really from Miami. And so, anything that I or we can do to support that family is really important. Two, I'm a firm believer that the next big innovations are going to come from the rest of the world. Not just San Francisco, they're going to come from everywhere else, because the internet is everywhere. Innovation is everywhere. Google, YouTube, Coursera, all these tools are everywhere. And so it's just a matter of access, and now we're starting to see that through companies like yours.
We'll have one more question if you have one. Sabil. Okay, I'll give one more. One more.
Hi, good night, everyone. A question. I'm just going to throw it out there. Have you ever had this one idea where at the beginning you are obsessive, but after years of going at it, you just get at a point where you're like, is it worth it? When you're at that point, what do you do in that situation?
Great question.
I think that's a really good question. I think I've asked myself that even before a year, to be honest, because what I put into it, and you heard this before some of the other speakers, this 10, 12, 18-hour days, that's a real thing. We put a lot into it, and you don't always see the return for that investment day in, day out. But what I do is kind of close my eyes, deep breath, big step back, and look at the arc of the overall time, and look at the progress that's been made over that time, and that kind of macro view helps me to kind of go on and on. That's one. My second answer is, it's the people. So again, I'm not necessarily doing it for me or myself or my own ego, but I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for the people that have come before me, who work for me. They deserve that big exit, right? They deserve to do well. And if that means me working a little harder, a little longer, then I'm going to deliver that.
Brian, thanks.
Thank you.
I will want to give an example. In the world, you have about 1 million footballers.
Mm-hmm.
Every footballer, as a child, you say, I'm going to be the best footballer, be the best footballer.
Yes.
But from the 1 million, let's say 10,000, 20,000, maybe 100,000 make it. And all the speakers says, you may not give up. My question is, what is luck means in this circle? Be lucky.
So what does luck mean in that larger sphere? Wow. I believe it plays a large role. However, I also believe that there's a saying that, an overnight success, 19 years in the making or 10 years in the making, that kind of thing. I believe you make your own luck in some situations. You put yourself in scenarios. You say yes to enough things and make yourself available to enough things. You speak at enough engagements. People know who you are. They know your body of work. And then they think of you. They think of you. Like, oh yeah, I saw that guy did facial recognition. We should call him about, using that company, that kind of thing. And so I think that luck is also kind of created. The other thing is, I'm a big fan of engineering luck, and we'll get into some of this stuff in the workshops tomorrow, but we like to engineer some of our prospects where, let's say that you're in the advertising space, and they use our products for emotion quite often, and we know there's a big ad event, this happened last week, by the way, in Las Vegas. We'll use Facebook to target you when you get to that convention center, or when you check into the hotel for that, and then you'll see an ad about, oh, Kairos for Emotion. You're like, oh, I happen to be in an event for this. How lucky. No, it's not luck. We've created that serendipity. So we believe in kind of manufactured luck and then just making yourself available. Yes.
We have one more question.
Well, I was already beaten to the punch, but my question was what keeps that fire going in you? I mean, your drive. I think that's one of the key ingredients to be successful as well, even though you feel you get up, but you go again.
I'll go even deeper. I'll go even deeper on the fire question. One of the things, all the things I answered are certainly true, but one of the even deeper things is I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I'm the first 11 years of her life, I was like the every weekend, all the time, every basketball game kind of dad. But then after startup, I had there were 2 years there where I was really kind of grinding hard, and I was not, sadly, the best father. I saw her not nearly as much as she deserved. And so, again, the sacrifices aren't mine. The sacrifices are other people's, including hers. So how can I possibly give up now when I've robbed her of 2 damn good years of her childhood and her father, right? So I have to deliver millions of dollars to make up, for that. And so that's an example of kind of what keeps me going. Guys, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure. Honored to be here.
Before you take the seat, guys, Brian, that was good. Don't you agree? Yeah. One more round. If you want it, hey, we're gonna get this tonight. If you want it, you have to learn it. When you learn it, you will earn it. Because is? Now, usually I'll have a nice intro on top of my head, but this is pretty long. So I got a paper for this one. Because our next speaker will be our keynote speaker for this evening. 4 years ago, I wanted to become an entrepreneur too. That was the cool thing in Atlanta, after failing and failing, right? Then I said, you know what? If you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to learn from the best. So I researched and I researched and I researched. And then one day, I see this thing called New Me Accelerator, Silicon Valley, right? I'm like, okay, New Me, okay. Click on it. And then I see women behind computers, excited and laughing. I said, that's in Silicon Valley. That doesn't happen. I said, New Me? Then I saw a whole bunch of minorities, African American, coding. I'm like, what kind of program is this? And then I started digging some deeper, and I realized that there was a significant leader behind this. And what it really presented was an environment, a platform for the minorities and women. Because if you think about innovation, let's be transparent, it's mostly white American men. Agree? Yeah. Our keynote speaker this evening redefined the status quo. But before I bring her up, I got a little dance with it, okay? I need your help. I need your help. Right? This is what we're going to do. We're going to say, I'm going to say AB. You're going to say New Me. Her name is Angela Benton, right? So I'm going to say AB. You're going to say New Me. All right? But keep saying New Me while I'm going through the long list of criteria and credentials. All right? You ready?
Yes.
AB?
New me.
AB?
New me.
AB?
New me.
Now keep going. New Me.
New me. New me. New me. New me. New me. New me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker for this evening, right out of Silicon Valley. She is Goldman Sachs' most influenced innovators in the Caribbean, Ebony Magazine 2010-2011, one of the 100 most influential women in the world. Come on. One of the youngest minorities that receive a Hall of Fame in the United States and the world as well. She's an entrepreneur, a technology industry expert. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me introduce our keynote speaker, CNN expert, also mentioned in MSNBC and Bloomberg, Angela Benton.
Okay. That was by far the best intro I've ever gotten. Guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I've been waiting, I guess, weeks, maybe months, ever since Sergio and I first connected to be here and share my story. I'm a very informal speaker, so I'm gonna go through my whole kind of spiel. I mean, Brian, you took a lot of my thunder, but I'll still kind of repeat some of it. I really believe in investing in people. And so I work with a ton of startups. Everybody wants to be a unicorn or raise venture capital funding. And that's all great. Everybody wants to make money. But really, what investors are investing in and what I'm investing in is the person. So on that note, I'm gonna let them play this video so you guys can see a little bit more about what we do. Throughout my career, I was almost always the only woman. I was almost always the only Black person. My name is Angela Benton. I'm the CEO and founder of Newme Accelerator. Newme Accelerator is a business incubator for minorities and women.
My name is Keyshawn Ferguson. I am the founder and CEO of 12 Earth.
My name is Frederick, and I'm the CEO and founder of Pigeon.
It's a 12-week residential program based in San Francisco, and we bring entrepreneurs from around the country and connect them to our network in Silicon Valley. Google for Entrepreneurs is our biggest supporter. They realize and understand that entrepreneurship is diverse, and entrepreneurship applies to a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds.
No one in my family is an entrepreneur. I didn't go to Harvard or Stanford. I'm kind of a little bit more ratchet. Normal startup founder.
We was meeting different angels investors twice a week. We just sit in there with a room and point out we have our business model.
My goal here is to help you guys understand problems before you become problems.
We are a business management application for real estate agents. We take the technology that agents use and condense it into one application. I moved a lot growing up. I mean, when we went to Columbus, I can count 10 different houses that I lived in. I actually love real estate. I love all aspects about it.
There are 2.3 million people who's currently incarcerated in the United States. Say you have a loved one who's currently incarcerated, you go to our website, you can upload the photos you want to send him, and he'll actually receive 4 by 6 prints in the mail. No one understands this market better than me because I once was in it. Prison sucks, 100%. The way institutions are set up today, they just make it very difficult to keep in touch with your family and friends and loved ones. Most guys who are incarcerated, they don't have life sentences, so they're gonna be back on the street. Being in touch with his family, having a support structure by the time he's released, actually makes them much more likely to be successful and less likely to go to prison.
The Newme Accelerator program is co-live, co-works. It's a flat. It's a small flat, and it's basically like going back to college. It's 8 adults living on bunk beds for 12 weeks.
Living in bunk beds, you know, for me it's not a big deal. You know, some of the counties, you're in bunk beds. The Newme Accelerator bunk beds are a lot more comfortable.
I think there's a camaraderie about it that we're minority companies. We're, you know, African Americans, women, it's underrepresented companies that are out to prove something. Without me, nobody would have really known who I was. Now we're a team of 4 people. We have closed a round of funding, and we're in the process of doing a second round.
We've gone to raise $1 million in seed funding. We've shipped over 40,000 photos, and we've grown our team to 7. We wouldn't be here without more photos. Newme Accelerator, it took us from 50 to 500 miles an hour. A lot of my closest friends now, we're all employed because of this. If we have more of that, the whole community can be changed.
So that's what we do. And so Brian mentioned how rough his prototype was, but he's not doing it any justice. That thing was bad. And he was stalking me. I think I got messages on I don't recommend this, by the way. I don't check Facebook a lot because of you, Brian. But no, I'm just joking. I got messages from Brian, and finally I was like, who is this guy? Let me take a look at what he's doing. And it was really bad. But I was like, maybe I should still let him apply. And it was something about him and his persistence. And at the end of the day, I believed in him. He convinced me. And that's really what I think Silicon Valley has figured out. So around the world, I go speak to a lot of different communities. Everybody tries to replicate Silicon Valley. And you just cannot replicate Silicon Valley. One of the things someone said earlier today in one of our meetings was, we need to, maybe it was, we need to own what Suriname is good at. And that's very, very true. I've heard Silicon Sahara, Silicon Beach. I mean, it's just becomes a bit absurd after a while. And everybody wants to be Silicon Valley, but I will tell you this, it's great, but it's not as innovative as you think. I remember I was on a trip one day, I don't know, I think I might have been going to Atlanta or someplace else. It was in the States, but I was on my way back to San Francisco, and the plane was landing, and I really realized at that time how much of a bubble Silicon Valley is. It really is a bubble. I was getting pitched left and right. I would be out and people would just pitch me their idea. We were on CNN Black in America, so people somewhat recognized me, and I would just get pitched ideas. And all the ideas were the same ideas. Everybody's trying to be the next Facebook or the next WhatsApp or the next Twitter. And that's just not interesting at all. It's not interesting. And by the way, there's already a Facebook. There's already a WhatsApp. So you're not going to be the next anything. The only thing you can do is be yourself. So working with entrepreneurs like Brian, Frederick, Kisan, and hundreds of other entrepreneurs, what I really look for is that they're passionate about what they're doing. Man, everyone else up here said it. It is really hard. You do spend hours. It is unhealthy. But at the end of the day, if you're passionate, that's going to be what drives you. Someone said obsessive. I don't necessarily recommend obsessive because that just sounds like a little crazy to me. So I like to use the word passionate, but it's the same thing. But I'll just use passionate. Passion is really what drives you when you don't have any money, when you're talking to investors. And honestly, you have a choice if you want to work with investors or not. My personal viewpoint on investing, and this is why I'm so passionate and interested in emerging markets, because in Silicon Valley, you'll meet someone very early stage, off top, they're trying to raise 1.5 million. In emerging markets, and by the way, you don't actually need that much. You don't need that much in Silicon Valley or in San Francisco or, New York. I really feel like you need somewhere between, and this is in the States, $25,000 to $50,000 to actually launch your idea and validate it. A lot of founders are not validating their ideas. It's still an idea. They really don't know if it's a business. They don't know if it's gonna make money. It doesn't have traction, but yet they're running around talking about how much money they're trying to raise. Here's my deck. I'm gonna do a convertible note, blah, 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 blah. And they don't even know what it is they're building and if there's a market for it. So if any advice I can give to anybody in here is just to take a step back, validate your idea. And you don't need a lot to do that. I think I wrote a blog post on how to validate your idea for like under $100. And here I'm sure you can do it for probably much less. Not to mention, we were riding around this beautiful country. There's so much opportunity here. It's like a blank canvas, so much opportunity here. You can really build something and change not just your community in terms of economic development, but you can really impact people's lives. And those are the companies that I think will be successful, the rise of the rest of the world, the people that fall outside of the box, which is what I like to call it. So that's all I really have to say. I hope you guys, took something from that, but I really, I came here really to hear from you guys. So I really want to ask questions, and please don't be shy because I came all the way from San Francisco. So somebody better have some questions. So,
Now, ask your questions. I'm coming to you or I'm calling you out. First up.
Good evening, my name is Franz. A question, you started with how much money do you need in an emerging market estimate, but you didn't finish your answer. What is the estimate you think a startup will need in an emerging market?
I think that depends on the emerging market. So I'd have to get some data. Like one thing that I'm not aware at is like what the average income is for someone here. So I need those kind of data points to actually make a recommendation, which is probably why I forgot to say it. But it doesn't have to be a lot. So like I said, I believe in micro investments. I threw out 50 to 25K. I think that you can do that for even less here, as long as you have internet connectivity. I mean, a lot of what you're doing is, and by the way, everyone wants to find engineers, which I'm a big proponent of. But to validate your idea, you don't necessarily need to find an engineer. So we use a lot of different tools to basically hack and basically fake what an automated system would look like. A good tool to use is called Zapier. So you can set up, a landing page, submit email addresses, and Zapier will basically trigger actions from web app to web app. So you can essentially connect a lot of third-party tools to simulate a functional prototype. So it's things like that, but the real issue is people don't have access to this information. People don't have access to it, so they don't really know. And I talked to somebody maybe about 2-3 weeks ago. This person was actually a celebrity in the States, very popular. And he was like, hit me on Snapchat and was like, I have a question about an app I'm working on. Can you get on a call real quick? So I said, sure. And his problem was that he had gotten a quote from an engineering firm to build an app. And I said, okay, well, how much was the quote? Well, they told me it's going to be about $100,000. And I'm like, that's not right. And even, I knew that wasn't right, even without getting into the nitty gritty of what he was doing. And sure enough, so I was like, I backed up. I said, tell me a little bit more about what you're doing. You can really be, I guess, gouged on pricing when you're looking for external engineers. And that's the #1 reason why a lot of investors in Silicon Valley, they want you to have a technical co-founder, because at least you have somebody on the core team that can actually build the product, which you're trying to work on, which is usually the best option. However, for minority communities, we're already behind. We already don't have a lot of engineers, to choose from. So that's why I recommend kind of using tools like Zapier to hack the process before you even go out and say, okay, well, I need money for XYZ. It's a different conversation when you're talking to an investor or anybody else. You might not be looking for investors, but it's a different conversation where you can say, yeah, I have XYZ number of people already signed up and 30% of them are paying. And this is, the conversion rate. That's a different conversation. You as an entrepreneur have more leverage, and also you can ask for, if you do end up taking investment, you just will retain more of your company basically in the long run.
They say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Mm-hmm.
Have your questions ready? I'm gonna come right to you. Miss Rainey.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate PyData, because my last recommendation to them was to get more gender equality in the presenters. So you did
Amen.
a good job.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. I'm from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and a big part of our local economy is still not based on coding or internet-based. And so it's a big challenge for us to connect the products that we have, which are more tangible products, food products and furniture, wood-based products, and all kinds of tangible products, to connect that to the rest of the world. And so I would like some advice on which online platforms you would recommend to use to connect to that world market. Because there's a lot online, I've seen a lot, so I'd like to hear from you about that.
So your question is basically how to sell physical products to other parts of the world. I mean, Amazon is good. And it depends on what product. If you're selling shoes, Zappos is good. The only thing with Zappos, I think you have to have a minimum number of orders. So I think it really depends on the product. But I will say this, I've grown to love companies that are working with physical products more since I started with New Me. So when we started, this 12-week residential program that you saw could work with no more than 16 entrepreneurs a year. Everybody was working on pure software. Maybe we had one hardware company, but more or less, very high tech. Essentially, we were doing what the industry said we should do. I mean, we copied a model that was already out there. We just applied it to a specific market. So we basically looked at the Y Combinator model and said, okay, let's change this for our market, et cetera. One thing that I didn't look at early on, and I didn't really realize and discover until later, until we actually started going basically on a road show from state to state in the States, was people aren't necessarily working on very high tech products. Particularly minority communities, they're working on what I like to call technology-enabled products. So that might be a physical product that the distribution channel is just online. That might be, it could be really anything. We actually ran a radio ad in the Atlanta market because we were testing out this concept, and what I was trying to do was get a better understanding of what people were actually working on. And it was fascinating. People were saying, yes, I want to actually open up, a kids' play area, but I want to have an app attached to it so a parent can schedule when they drop their kids off. Someone wanted to start a mobile detailing company that had an app. So it was interesting ideas, again, that weren't getting pitched in Silicon Valley at all, and they all had some kind of offline component. Also, what I think is fascinating about that is, look at Uber. Uber has a strong offline component. In fact, you see kind of a rise of businesses that are becoming very successful that have some kind of offline component. So, when you're thinking about your businesses or even how to stimulate the economy here, it doesn't have to be a hindrance that a lot is offline. You really just have to use it as a tool to connect to the rest of the world.
She has helped entrepreneurs raise more than $22 million in venture capital. Please ask the right questions.
Of course.
He gave that to you after, what was that about? No, I'm just joking, I'm just joking.
What a pressure. Okay, and my compliments. Just this question, I can imagine that you see many pitches and get many pitches and hear out so many stories about, okay, I want to do that, I want to raise that. So how do you filter out the cherries in the pudding? On what is the, yes. So, because I think it's not easy.
No, it's not. And it's very hard to listen to a lot of pitches and then also work on your own business at the same time because you're influenced by all of these other ideas. That actually led us to change our business model. Several things led us to change it, but that's primarily why we just started to offer some of what we do online. we're mission driven, so we want to help as many minority and women founders as possible. That's something that I'm really passionate about and something that, just will not change. Some of our supporters, though, wanted us to stay the same, so they wanted us to stay small. And I didn't really want to do that, and that meant walking away from some really great relationships that we had. But we built a platform that basically allows us to work with more entrepreneurs online. And we have founders in over 13 countries now. And so we're on our 4th version, but the first version was like really bad, as it always is. It doesn't matter who you are, first version's always bad. That has really been key because it allows me to work with entrepreneurs at scale. I still feel like I can kind of touch everyone and contribute to their success, but I'm not sitting next to them for 12 weeks at a time. You know what I mean? So I think that has really been key to our success, but no other accelerator incubator was doing anything really online at the time, especially in Silicon Valley. And what's funny is I laugh in my head now because there are a lot of them doing it now, and I'm like, I've been doing it, So it's really, really, really funny, and a testament to even people that you respect. You're gonna get a lot of advice as an entrepreneur. My biggest lesson that I learned was to basically listen to myself. And have that confidence to know that I know my market better than any investor, than any partner that I was working with. And I have I feel like what I'm working on is my purpose in life. So I have a really strong sense of direction and instinct, and I can always kind of feel when something's not right. But there was a time that I wasn't really listening to that. I mean, when I first started, the whole first year, I wasted a year of meetings, coffees with people. This is my company. This is what we're doing. What do you think we should do? What are your thoughts? And it wasn't a complete waste of time because it gave me perspective, but it also, it made me more unfocused, and I had to relearn and build my confidence back up to actually get to where we are now. So.
We got Mr. Classic Man, Giano.
Thank you, Angela. Great story and I hope very inspirational to everyone. You mentioned you've seen driving around, you've seen a lot of opportunities here in Suriname. Can you give us a hint as to what those opportunities are? Pretty please.
A hint? There are a lot of mom and pop businesses and shops, just from what I've seen. And from what I've learned from all the meetings that we had is everyone's connected mobily. So I'm curious if any kind of on-demand services would work here. I think that's a right market.
Hint, hint. I think we have Moosh, my main man. He's actually one of the leading innovators in T-Mill.
Yes, thank you. My question is actually, when you pitch, when somebody come to pitch, maybe pitch your company, what do you search for? Because like me, I've pitched many times, but mostly I try to be someone else, because
Yes.
I also saw that when I'm being myself, people are looking me like, this boy is crazy. So what is your advice to me like that?
Great question. One thing that I'm most proud about with the work that I do is all of the founders that we work with, whether it's in person, in the residential accelerator or online, is everybody feels like they can be their self. And investors, they can tell when you're not being yourself, and they're not going to want to invest in you. The trick is to be yourself and also be a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you're doing. So to be authentic and really figure out what you're trying to do. So, if you're, a baker, and you're trying to raise money from an investor, but, maybe you have a background in rolling pizza dough. I don't know, I'm making this up. And you're trying to convince somebody that you are this top of the line pastry chef. People can see through that. You know what I mean? You might as well take what you have, what your assets are, and spin it into something that people can trust, get behind, and believe in. We actually have a whole pitch format, might be online someplace. I can see if we can find the link, and I'm sure they have everyone's email, but we have a pitch format that we use for entrepreneurs, and all of our pitches are story-based. All of our demo days in San Francisco, among all of the accelerators, our pitches are always the best. I don't care what accelerator you are, anybody will tell you that. And it's because we follow the story format, and it's because we work really hard with an entrepreneur to help him or her understand what it is, what's valuable for them, for an investor. I mean, at the end of the day, an investor wants to get their money back, so they want to invest in someone that they believe can pull off what you're trying to pitch.
I'm gonna come back to you, Apura. You have a question? Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, okay. I like examples, so I'm gonna give my question in an example. I'm seeing Suriname as an iPhone 3. Okay, and Silicon Valley as an iPhone 6. Yeah, S6. Yeah, but the problem is, if I want to install iOS 8 on my iPhone 3, it might work.
No, it's gonna break.
Yeah, but
it's gonna break if you try to do that.
But if it works, you get the possibility that your phone might run slow. So my question actually is like, they say you have to think outside the box, and Suriname, yeah, our box is maybe like this, and the box of Silicon Valley is this. So it's not that we're not innovative and not creative about the things that we're trying to create, but how do you see past that? And we have the potential, and from the start I'm hearing, yes, we have the potential to do this, we have the potential to do that, but we're not doing it, and it's not because we're not doing it right, but we don't have the resources, and like he said, for the facial recognition, they had studies for a year about how the system is working. And the university here in Suriname is not to talk them down, but we're not studying about how to create things, and we're not studying about how to come with possibilities, how to do things otherwise. So how do you step out of that little box and go not into a bigger box, but
Sure.
in the open?
Well, first you need doers. That's the first thing, you need doers. Second, it really gets on my nerves when people say they don't have enough resources. And the reason why it gets on my nerves is probably because I get pitched a lot by entrepreneurs. And a lot of times they'll say, well, I can't do this because I don't have funding. Well, I can't do this because of X, Y, Z. You gotta figure out how to get it done, period. That's what being an entrepreneur is about. You know, when I started New Me, and I'm really hoping you can actually take a lot from this and apply it to your own ecosystem here, everybody who had started an accelerator or incubator was independently wealthy. I wasn't. I was a single mom with 3 kids with an idea. And someone told me, I told them about this idea, and they said, well, yeah, you should be able to do that. All you would have to do is rent a house here. You go on this site, you can just rent a vacation rental to do it. And I was like, really? So it was that little piece of information that led me down the road to doing research online. And when I actually put together a little budget, I was like, this is actually not going to cost that much. I mean, we raised between $65,000 and $75,000 to pull it off, but not from investors. I sold something because I'm an entrepreneur. We basically sold sponsors. And we went to sponsors and said, look, we have this idea. We're going to change history. This does not exist right now. You're either in or you're out. These are the speakers we had lined up. And we didn't get anybody that said no. Now, we were nickel and diming at first. It was $10,000 here, $5,000 here, $500. But we got to where we needed to get to. And so I just don't believe that you need millions of dollars to start. Like, you have to figure out how to get it done. And if you can't, then you might not be an entrepreneur.
I think Brian has an additional answer to that.
Just to add to it, just to put it into some perspective, of all the research that we've done, not a stitch, not a line, not even any of it came from California. None of it. It's from University of Central Florida in Orlando, Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, and the University of Surrey in the UK. So all of it is there, and then we got to all of that from Google and Google Scholar. So the same thing, the same Google you have here, that's what we used.
Ryan Kopinski.
I just want to add to that, I think the biggest thing that the community here needs is a framework. So you need a framework to nurture entrepreneurship. You need a framework to basically go to high net worth individuals, people who might be angel investors that might be scared of technology investors, and say, hey, actually all you need is $2,500, $1,000. As long as the entrepreneur can apply that and turn that into something, that's not, what people are scared to invest in high-tech startups because they're thinking they have to invest millions of dollars. And that's partly because the entrepreneurs think they have to raise millions of dollars, right? But if I'm telling you, you can validate an idea and get to a certain point for, under $10,000, then that's not really that risky. People spend that in a year. You know what I mean? So I definitely think it's possible if you guys can train high net worth individuals how to invest in technology, do micro investments. If you can begin to nurture the community here, some of that does include having some engineers or some kind of coding, but then also just making sure that the entrepreneurs that are here have a framework on how to go about doing things. And then, of course, support from other stakeholders in the community, but I won't get into everything.
I think Mr. Tesla has another answer.
Yeah, so from an engineering point of view, Game Theory, I started a month and a half ago, and it went from 0 to beta testing approved by Apple, and Apple is picky, in 25 days. The amount that I spent was really the domain gametheory.com, which was $10. Now, I busted my behind coding every single night for 6 hours. So I work a 7-hour day on research. I come home, spend time with my wife, and then spend another work day working on the app. And to be quite honest, and anyone who's a developer that's working on an app that wants to know how, I can support up to 1,000 users for free. Minus my sweat, time, and everything. 1,000 users. Are you an engineer? Who's clapping? Are you interested in building an app? Are you interested in supporting 1,000 Surinamese users without costing a dime? You can come talk to me after.
That's awesome.
All right.
Question.
Now I'm going to take a few more questions because I would like to leave some room for some...
One more over here.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'd like to leave a few more questions. We'll leave some room for some networking opportunities. because I know some people want to have those real good questions on the side. All right?
Okay, I've been burned as this question for the whole presentation. I'm busy building a youth magazine for Suriname that focuses on news and guiding teenagers and young adults. I would like to know if you want to be my mentor.
Sure. My email, listen, I have hella unread emails, but I'm pretty open with my email. I do reply back to them, but if anybody wants to email me, it's really simple. It's angela@newmeaccelerator.com.
Awesome. I just want to give a shout out to Phil Tefreda and Renato in the house.
Yes. Question. Good evening. Thank you very much for sharing your presentation and your story. I have a practical question. Now, in your experience in running the accelerator, and you've seen many startups grow, could you give some practical tips to gain traction and help startups gain momentum and grow?
So the tips that I would normally give, from what I hear, I don't think would apply to this market, but I'm a big proponent of using Facebook ads. So it depends on your market. If your product is, I guess, for the local community here, because I hear folks aren't really on Twitter, they're not really on Facebook here. So if that's what your product's for, you're not really going to get to your market there. If you have a general product, Facebook, I don't really like Twitter ads that much. Twitter ads are okay, but I really like Facebook ads. I tell all of my entrepreneurs to basically set up ads and A/B test different marketing copy, but then also different concepts. So before you actually get something developed, you can basically have a landing page, mocked up, designed, something that looks and feels real, and run an ad on Facebook and see if people convert. Okay.
Hi, I actually have two questions. First one is, what are the key indicators that a potential investor is not trying to screw you over and actually has the same vision and goal you have? And the second question is, what is the next step when the market isn't ready yet for your idea?
I'm going to answer your second question first and then ask you to repeat your first question. So your second question is, how do you know a market is not, what do you do when a market is not ready for your idea?
Yes, when they're not yet ready.
You got to meet them where they're at. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we try to force people into understanding our big vision and where we're at instead of where your market actually is. I even had to do this for New Me. So I told you guys we ran ads and everything to test a couple of things. The reason why we ran ads is because, you know, I've been working on this mission of mine more or less since 2007. 2007, I launched a site called Black Web 2.0, and nobody was talking about black people in technology at all. Like, we had a very, very small niche community. So I feel like I've been trying to convince people since 2007 that there's a market here, right? That there's opportunity here. When I started to think, how are we actually going to scale this business and reach more people? How I was communicating to people, essentially marketing to them, was the Silicon Valley way. I had been so caught up in the Silicon Valley speak because that's where I was living to. I had become disconnected to what people actually understand. And they don't understand what an accelerator is. That's why we changed our business name. Our name is actually New Me. It's not New Me Accelerator anymore. Because our market, people of color, they're just now starting to understand what an accelerator is. So regardless of what I thought personally, and what I loved about the residential program is our founders also helped me a lot One of our founders was telling me, Angela, I don't think people know what an accelerator is. Like, I really had to dumb down the concept to training, to boot camps, to coming to Silicon Valley to get business coaching. It was those words that actually basically drove people to us when I started changing our messaging. But before, it was just me being, you know, Angela, this techie. Oh, of course everybody knows what XYZ is, but I was kind of in a bubble. So, you know, I guess that's my best example for that. And then your first question was?
What are the key indicators that a potential investor is not trying to screw you over and actually has the same vision and goal as you have?
Ooh, that's hard. That's hard because sometimes vision and goals change on both part, on the investor's part, but then also on the entrepreneur's part, and more often on the entrepreneur's part. This is why I'm a big proponent of entrepreneurs figuring it out, launching their business, getting as much data, traction, revenue they can as possible before they take investment. Because once you take investment, you're married, basically. They're gonna want their money back. You know, now you have the stress of investor meetings, you know, you have the stress Brian's talking about of now you have employees and maybe you can't make payroll because now you gotta actually change your vision. You gotta modify it. So not only do you gotta worry about them, but now you gotta go to your board meeting and have them looking at you crazy like, well, we thought he was doing XYZ. Those are real stresses. That shit is not funny. It's like not. Like I have founders that I work with that have raised money, they call me just stressed out. You know, your stomach hurts so bad because of it. And that's why you really just need to put yourself in the best position as possible, which is working on your idea, making sure you're thinking, if it is a for-profit business, that you're thinking revenue first, because that's really what's gonna give you a leg up. So it is about the idea, it's about the concept, but it's also how much value can I bring to someone and have them pay me money for it? That's what it's really about.
All right, we'll have 2 more questions, 3 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up.
Angela, first I want to thank you. Thank you for being here. Brian also. My name is Mark Lopman. I've been running around with ideas most of the time in my head. I've pitched to Taylor Swift twice already. But first I want to tell you something. I want to thank you for letting us come in contact with people of color in the tech industry. For me, that's very important because we always see, let me say it another way. We don't see minorities in the tech industry. And that's bothering me very, very much. The other thing I want to say is you just mentioned something about validating an idea before you want to execute. But how do I do that if there is a financial payment system involved? MasterCard, Visa card, even mobile money, Bitcoins in one app. I cannot validate that via Facebook. So is there another way to validate an idea with a big payment system?
I don't know your idea specifically, so this is going to be hard. But you can use a third-party payments tool, like a Stripe or Braintree, depending on what your idea is. Not talking Bitcoin, but just regular payments. You can use a third-party tool like that, something that's simple to implement. Braintree. It's the payment system that Uber uses, basically. So if you're trying to, I don't know, it sounds like you might kind of sort of have some kind of marketplace concept where money's being exchanged. So you can use Braintree, you can use Stripe for that. Stripe is very developer friendly. Almost everybody knows how to use Stripe. I mean, you can get an engineer, well, not almost everybody. You can get an engineer to implement that pretty simply. You can even go in there and So I'm going to give you a hack. So you can use, depending on what the idea is, you can create a form using a tool called Typeform. So Typeform basically lets you take any kind of information. What I like about Typeform is it's beautiful and it's mobile responsive off top. So you're not going to have a problem with that. And people here are largely, on mobile. Second, you can integrate Stripe into that. So once you integrate Stripe, that'll allow you to take initial payments. On the back end of Stripe, you can make sure that you have third-party, basically a third-party account set up on there so you can do payouts. Now, it's going to have to be manual. What a lot of entrepreneurs try to do is they try to automate something out of the gate off top. There's nothing wrong with doing things manual, spreadsheets. I mean, every day, I don't care if every day you have to wake up and process payments manually. That's a part of it. That's a part of the learning process.
Thank you. The last 10 years, I've not been inspired by any event here in Suriname at home until tonight. So I want to really congratulate the people that organized the event and all the speakers. The CARICOM heads of government, which are actually all the presidents and the prime ministers of all 15 member states, they mandated a commission 2 years ago, in 2008, to do a 2-year study on the situation analysis of young people in the Caribbean. The report is called The Eye on the Future. I think everybody in here should at least glance at it because it's full of problems, but it's full of potential as well because it's 1 million young people that were surveyed on their situation at that point in time. And I'm just gonna give you one example. We asked one guy in Jamaica who was, I think, 13 or 14. He was an actual gun dealer at school. So we asked him, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? He's like, 5 years? Either that or in prison. And this is not something that is extraordinary to hear in the Caribbean. All right, so this is 1 million young people we're talking about. I find and feel a certain disconnect to the things that we talk about here and what we do to the so-called minorities. The problem in the Caribbean is that the so-called minority is the majority. We've been doing an entrepreneurial training with young people the last couple of 2 years. We've been doing 11 countries throughout the CARICOM states, giving young people the opportunity to come to a week's worth of entrepreneurial workshops. They get loans to put on collateral, their cell phone, their change, whatever. And they only get like 250 US for 4 to 5 people to go start up an idea, get some money with that idea, come back, pay the financiers, and make a profit. And during all of that, the action-based learning concept, they actually get lessons on entrepreneurship. The things that they come up with are very basic, are not nearly what we are talking about here tonight. So what I'm asking you is how do we bridge that gap? How do we build that bridge between the cream of the crop that we have here and the real deal that's going on with all of these young people in 15 member states throughout CARICOM? Because they have no idea what we're talking about. It's a huge disconnect. They don't relate to any of what we're saying, all of the things that we've seen that are so inspiring to us. It's Disneyland and Magic Kingdom to them. And that's not something that they think about because they're trying to think, how am I gonna get some bread? And how am I gonna get to school if I'm gonna go to school tomorrow?
Right. So when we think about entrepreneurship, a lot of times we think of it as you said, the cream of the crop, people that are really, really technical. But the truth of the matter is you need everyone to play and participate. That means people working on really simple ideas, but then also people working on really high-tech ideas. What I think you guys have here, particularly in the Caribbean, you have the ability to execute this, I think, easier than in the States, is using the power of media to influence those young people. I learned that the most when we were on CNN. I had no idea really what to expect. Everyone was saying, you know, we have to get prepared for it. Da, da, da. There's no way to prepare for that. But we were able to reach through that platform people around the world. We had people from Israel contact us, people from the Philippines. It was amazing. I had people that were grandmothers. I had a young guy, at the time, he was 15. He started following me on Twitter, called me Miss Angela all the time. He was like the same age as my daughter. Miss Angela, I really want to I want to be like Jack Dorsey, who runs Twitter and Square now, but it was just Twitter at the time. I want to be like, you know, the next Jack Dorsey. He is 19 now, and he still follows up with me. He's taught himself how to code. He didn't go to school for coding. He taught himself how to code. He just had a computer. And he sends me his work all the time. He has traction with, you know, his company. So he's not a huge business, but the point is he's learning. And I was able to expose my work to him through a media channel. Now, most 15-year-olds don't watch Black in America. He was watching it with his mom. Most 15-year-olds don't, but the power of media is really how you get to the younger generation. It really is.
We have one more question. I would like to remind you guys, you received a bulletin, an agenda, and it has some really cool questions for you to answer. It's important that we share our feedback and some of our concerns so that T-Mail, they have an action plan after this that will put in place based on this information you provide. So I would like for you to encourage you to please fill out the information. We have one more question. Miguel.
Yes, because it's hot. I'm not used to this humidity. Woo! And I have the nerve to have on a leather skirt.
Yes, Angela. I was just curious on, did you use crowdfunding in your process of accelerating
No.
youngsters?
We didn't.
Why not?
We didn't. After CNN, we even had people that would email us and say, I want to send you $10. Like they just wanted to send us money. But at the time, crowdfunding wasn't approved, so no one could really do it. Secondly, crowdfunding, it takes a lot of work. So I think there's a perception that you can kind of put this idea up and it'll get funding, but it takes a lot of marketing work. And we have a small team and I have a big mission, so I just don't have that amount of time to dedicate to it. So that's why we haven't done it.
I'm going to do a daring thing. I'm going to ask her one more question. And this is my question. T-Mill is one of the leading incubators in the Caribbean. I said that earlier. She has one of the leading accelerators in Silicon Valley. Miss Angela, what is the difference between an incubator and an accelerator? And how do you basically get to one process to the next?
Sure. So a lot of times people use the term incubator and accelerator interchangeable, but they're two different things. An incubator, it really incubates an idea. It's a longer term kind of thing. So you might be in an incubator for like a year. Also, a lot of times they're affiliated with some kind of university. A lot of times they work on commercializing IP that the university owns. So those are some things that are separate and different about incubators and accelerators. So accelerators are what they say they are, accelerating an idea. So it focuses really on just making your idea go faster. If you're gonna fail faster. So putting your idea in the marketplace, possibly raising money for it, but it's really just getting your idea out there to grow. So incubators are a little bit more slower, I guess actually a little bit more nurturing and slower pace, where accelerators are faster paced.
The boss man has one more question.
Angela, how is your program funded? Is there any government involved?
We are self-funded. I haven't taken any money from investors. The only thing that we've done is, like I said early on, we sold sponsorships to actually fund it. We don't get any government grants. We've had a lot of people contact us about grants, but we are for profit, and the grant process is very long, and it takes a lot of time. And so, like I said, we're mission driven, so we operate basically like a startup, very fast paced. If I have an idea for something, it could be a product or service, I put it out in the market and I test it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then I'm back to the drawing board. And that's pretty much how we operate. So all the advice that I'm giving everyone, it's advice that I've given my own founders that works, but it's also stuff that I've done myself.
Awesome. Now, as we close, I would like to have the rest of the speakers get up to the stage again. I think it's appropriate to truly acknowledge, I think, some really good information, some nuggets that we got today. But I want everybody to get their cell phones out. Cell phones out. Cell phone, cell phone, cell phone. You have a smartphone, iPhone, Apple. I want you to look at the person you came with today, and I want you to take a selfie. But, come on, come on. We'll wait for the old folks. Come on, Mr. Curry. You gotta go left. Right? Take a selfie with the person you came with today. Come on. You do it anyway. And what I want you to do is I want you to post this picture on your Facebook page. Oh, you still waiting? He's waiting. We'll wait on you. Post this picture on your Facebook page. And I want you to put hashtag It's Possible 2015. Because I want you to remember today. Today will become a historic event that will change the way we look at innovation, and it will help us take that leap from an incubator mindset to an accelerator mindset to help develop the innovation ecosystem in Suriname. We can't do it alone. It takes each and every one of you to be involved. So with that, I would like to put this is like football, Super Bowl, yell and scream, like excitement, to really thank our speakers for giving and sharing this nugget. On three, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! On behalf of Pi Data, I would like to thank Telesir and our speakers for joining us on this historic event. Ryan Kapinski, you're the man. We look forward to really involve you with the Jintori process. We know you're going to succeed, and we're going to be engaging with your platform. Mr. Burkeen, I call you Mr. Burkeen because I have a lot of respect for you as the true form of entrepreneurship from nothing to millions of dollars. This guy is really getting it done. Thank you so much for your service. Mr. Miguel Rodriguez. Guys, Apura Networks is for us. Support it. $1, $2. You know what I'm saying? It really, if everybody does that, I guarantee you, it will help the entire community. So check it out, sign up, and be ready. For our keynote speaker, Ms. Angela Benton, I think we truly are walking out of here better than what we came in with. And it was because of the experience and the practicality of your story. Thank you so much for your delivery. Thank you, thank you. Wait. We have Mr. Curry ready to get up first. Can you please stop? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to reintroduce to you and bring up stage the mastermind behind this. When you see him next time, don't be like, hey, Derek, what's up? No. This guy is really bringing change to Suriname. T-Mill is spearheading this. And because of Telesur taking these steps, taking action, and having an action plan that follows the meeting, will allow us to really build the innovation ecosystem. So please help me welcome and put together Mr. Derek Curry.
Thank you, Sergio. But I need your help too. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to build an ecosystem for innovation. And a lot of you are young entrepreneurs, and definitely you have issues in bringing your ID to market. So please give that back to us. Just this morning I had conversations with government ministers, and I think I have their commitment, because sometimes we also need government officials and policymakers to put in place the part of the ecosystem. And even if we as a company can be supportive in what we need to do better, what we need to change in the system that we presently have at T-Mail, we need the feedback from all of you young entrepreneurs. Young for me does not mean the age, but it's what is between the ears. That's what is very important, because we have people that have been born long ago, but still are very innovative. So thank you very much for being here. I would like to close on thanking my team, because when you're in an organization that has 800 people, you have a lot of people supporting you in what your ideas are. And without my team, of course, nothing is possible. And it's all about working together. Networking is a very important part. So please stay. Even after we close this event, we have a networking possibilities, interact with each other, share information, know who the other persons are, know what their ideas are. The one thing that we had problems with is that most of the time people think, no, I'm afraid because someone else will steal my idea. I can tell you the idea that Miguel has, or one of the other innovators, nobody can steal an idea from you. They can only help you make it better. So share it. On the note of my friend in the back of the room, they're in a country in the Caribbean region, there are lots of problems. But let us not try to solve all the problems at the same time. Let's focus. Our focus is, let it be the top. But if we have successful entrepreneurs here, the wealth that they create can be used to service those youngsters in need. Thank you. Now it's party time.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us in this event. It's been a pleasure serving you, and we will see you at our next event. Thank you. Have a good night.
Concepts of building a technology hub have been proven through the facilitating of Cantor's first annual youth forum, hosted in Paramaribo, Suriname, and the Caribbean's first regional hackathon, hosted in Miami, Florida. Both of these grand events have given Caribbean millennials the opportunity to voice concerns, share ideas, and contribute to the Caribbean technological revolution. Interested in learning more? Please visit our website at www.pidata.co or send us an email at info@pidata360.com. Start off your adventure with Pi Data.